Crooked Letter Sports Podcast, the show about Mississippi sports and the folks who play them. I'm Tyler Cleveland, joined as always by my co-host and dad, Rick Cleveland of Mississippi Today. Dad, looking good this morning?
I'm glad to be here.
Just glad to be here.
Glad to be here and in one piece.
Well, we'll get to that. I know you played a lot of golf over the weekend. I'm sure you're still a little bit sore from it. Got an exciting show on deck for our listeners. We have got so much to talk about. Sometimes folks say, spring is a little bit slower than fall. Not in Mississippi, buddy. We're ahead 90-0. We're going to talk a lot of college baseball. I want to talk a little bit about the red hot Atlanta Braves, and then we want to talk the big idea today about the NFL draft, which is upcoming this next. I guess it starts Thursday night with the first round, and then a couple more on Friday and Saturday. Dad, I want to start with your weekend, though. I know you grabbed some glory on the golf course down there at Hattiesburg Country Club. What was that tournament you were playing in?
It's called the Lanyap tournament, and it's what it basically is their member tournament. It has kind of a Ryder Cup format with two-man teams, and my partner, Brent Tyler, deserves most of the credit.
Okay.
We won the second flight.
Okay.
And, we were actually under par for the tournament and played really well. It's my favorite golf course in Mississippi. I love the Hattiesburg Country Club. It's where I played high school golf.
Yeah.
Over half a century ago.
Yeah, you've played that course a few times.
A few times, yeah.
What's your favorite format? You like the scramble, the alternate shot?
I'll tell you what, my least favorite is alternate shot.
Yeah, because you just feel guilty the whole time.
Yeah, that can break up a lot of friendships. It didn't break up ours. We actually played the 9 holes we played alternate shot. We were even par, which is pretty good. But let me say this: I played 99 holes of golf in 5 days.
Glad you got your ergonomic chair,
And on Monday, I rested.
I can only imagine. We got some pasta in you last night. You ought to be bouncing back. We're recording this on Tuesday morning. We got a huge college baseball slate in Mississippi this week. I want to start with what happened last weekend because everybody got back on track. It seemed like Mississippi State swept South Carolina. The Bulldogs up to number 15 in the D1 baseball rankings as of Monday morning. A big series to get back on track for them, one that they needed against a team that pretty much sucks.
Yeah. South Carolina's, most of the top 25 is from the SEC, but South Carolina ain't among them.
No, and ain't gonna be either.
Yeah.
They got another break this weekend. They're playing Memphis on tonight as they're recording this Tuesday morning. And then they have LSU this weekend, who we're going to get to a little later in the show in the Blitz. But just to say they've struggled some. And
have been struggling a lot.
Right, and they got to be – and they're at Starkville this weekend. So a chance to – log a few more in the W column for Mississippi State this week if they can keep it together and keep climbing back in those polls since their tumble. Ole Miss is ranked 17th in the D1 poll. They took 2 of 3 from Tennessee over the weekend, got battered in the Sunday game, but, really strong showing Friday and Saturday. And as you wrote this week from Mississippi Today, they are riding a heater.
They are red hot. They're playing really. You lose a Sunday game after you've already won the first 2 on the road. You can live with that.
Yeah.
And they're playing well. They're pitching it well, and boy, they've got about 6 or 7 guys in that lineup who can hit it a mile.
Yeah. Big opportunity for them this week. I believe it's Murray State midweek, and then Georgia, number 5 Georgia.
Big series.
Who has just been beating the crap out of everybody. But a chance. Ole Miss's RPI should go up this week. But I mean, you win. You talk about you go 2-2 this week. Your RPI really gets a nice boost.
Yeah, they're. I mean, we've been even their own fans were down on them earlier in the season, and you and I kept talking about it. I mean, they're good. I mean, they're a good team.
I think a lot of that early on from the Ole Miss fans was just seeing Mississippi State in the top 5.
Yeah.
And seeing Southern Miss in the top 10.
That's all.
And by comparison, if both those teams had been struggling, I don't think they would have been quite as vocal about the team because they were playing fine.
Yeah.
And now they're playing really well. Speaking of Southern Miss is 18 in the poll this week. They swept Texas State over the weekend series that they finally – this is the first conference sweep. I've been talking about it for weeks on here that they just couldn't – put together a complete weekend. Well, they did against Texas State. Made it interesting at times, but reversed their spot, and they were third in the Sun Belt. Now they're second.
And Texas State's good. I mean,
they are
a good team. They've won at Texas.
Right.
I mean, they're a really good ball club.
They are. They're probably the third best team in the Sun Belt. So it was really good to have a strong showing against them. They've got Tulane. Southern Miss has Tulane in the midweek, and then they're at South Alabama this weekend. Another team that has played pretty well. I think they're 10 games above 500. They got to continue to take care of business. I don't know at this point if they're going to be able to catch Coastal because they don't play each other, which seems to be a common thing in the Sun Belt for some reason.
A stupid thing.
It's just I don't understand. I think it happened in football as well where they got behind and couldn't. They didn't play the team they needed to catch. But a good chance to log some more wins this week. I mean, you beat Tulane and then, put together 2 or 3 or sweep South Alabama, and you're knocking at the door. Especially Coastal's going to take some losses at some point. You just got to hope they have a bad weekend.
The big news down in Hattiesburg this weekend was moving the closer, Camden Clark, who's been lights out all year, moving him to the Sunday starter position. Now that you've moved Colby Allen back to the bullpen, you can do that. And he responded. He had 5 good innings, and they'll keep trying to stretch him out a little more.
He was lights out. But then in that 5th inning, as you mentioned, the fastball kind of flattened out a little bit, and they started squaring him up. They were sitting on it, squared him up a good bit. And then at the end of the game, they're in a situation where they've got the 1-run lead or whatever, and they get out there and their closer has already thrown, and so you got. I mean, it's give and take. The reason Camden Clark was in that closer role is because he's so damn good at it.
Well, yeah, but the whole deal is the Sunday. You got to have a third starter for your conference series. You just got to.
Right.
And they tried a bunch of people and. Now they're trying this, and we'll see how it works out. I will say this. The guy that has to come through, in my opinion, for them is the left-handed freshman with the 98-mile-an-hour fastball, Littleton.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to eventually play a big role at the end of the game.
Yeah. I agree. I think Camden Clark is the most Southern Miss guy ever from so-so. You know what I mean? It's like it wasn't recruited, comes in, just completely lights out, doesn't throw hard, just pitches.
Camden Clark throws 97, 98.
Yeah, he wasn't hitting 97, 98. He wasn't the other day in the starting role.
Well,
he was sitting 93, 94 tops.
That's the adjustment you have to make from closer to
how crazy is it? And I'm saying, doesn't throw hard, and it's 93, 94.
Well, that's
the
world we live in right now.
Absolutely. Dad, so big opportunity for all 3 of the schools this week to really kind of cement their place and keep moving forward. I like the direction of all 3 right now, though. I mean, after a couple of weeks where they were just kind of meandering.
it's what we do best in Mississippi.
Dad, moving on to another really hot baseball team, the Hot Atlanta Braves. We talked about it a little bit last week. I believe that I had it on the menu. When I was looking at the lineup for last week, I had labeled it, "The Braves don't suck," and then in parentheses it said "yet." But I'm telling you, it's amazing what a difference 1 week will make. The Braves have won 8 of 10 now. Only the Dodgers have a better record. The Braves are 14-7 overall. They have opened up a 5-game lead in the NL East by April the 20th, which
Swept the Phillies.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Swept the Phillies, and working on the Nationals now. Boy, I was, with all the injury news and the Jurickson Profar steroid scandal, and I had kind of resigned myself to, thinking it was going to be a slow start and maybe they'd get it together. But thanks to a couple of key bats, I mean, Drake Baldwin looks like an MVP candidate. Matt Olson's playing great early in the season. I mean, Ozzie Albies is back on track. He's hit 4 homers already. And then, just the lineup itself, you take that into account. And then you look at the pitching.
Yeah.
Has been fantastic. Chris Sale looks amazing.
Yeah, and they're going to go through a bad stretch. It's inevitable that they will.
Mm-hmm.
But right now they're showing what they're capable of. And, no team is clearly better than them in baseball other than the Dodgers, and they're clearly better than everybody.
Well, they're a half game better than the Braves right now with their gargantuan payroll that it only shows up as like the third biggest payroll in baseball because of just some, I'm going to call it shifty accounting.
Yeah. Well, speaking of payrolls, how about those Mets?
Well, we're going to get to them. Before we move on from the Braves, I want to say I think the biggest improvement year over year has been, Bryce Elder finished last year with an ERA over 5 and a losing record so far this year. He is 3-1 with a 1.5 ERA, 29 strikeouts and 9 walks and 5 starts. Buddy, that's cooking.
That slider is evil.
And he pitched really well last night against the Nats to get his 3rd win. And that's, they're still going to get the shortstop, Hyun Kim. They're still going to get.
He ain't going to play any better than the guy playing now.
They're going to get Sean Murphy back.
Yeah.
And they're going to get Spencer Strider back, and all of this in the next month.
Yeah.
This could get really fun.
Yeah.
And if you'd have told me before the season the Braves are going to have too many starting pitchers, I would have laughed at you. But that's the situation they're about to be in. And yes, let's ha-ha at the Mets. Why not? The Mets have a $380 million roster. They are 7-15, riding an 11-game losing streak. Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch, or what's?
Well, it shows the value of a good general manager and the flip side.
Yeah.
Which, if you're right, they've made some really bad roster choices,
mm-hmm.
and they're paying the price.
Yeah. Well, people don't understand the media environment in New York. But, the Yankees are pretty good. So, there's a lot of negative in New York. I don't know if you know this about sports fans in New York, people listening. But they tend to latch on to one thing and then ride it. It's I'd say Southern Miss fans were, they always pick in football, one coordinator who they hate.
Yeah. State
does it too, but, they pick one coordinator and then they blame everything that's wrong with the team on that one person. The Mets GM is going through it right now.
Yeah, but he may be the guy to blame too.
Well, I was listening to a radio show about it the other day, and they were talking about, is there a bigger waste of money in sports? And the only thing that comes to mind is Live Golf. I mean, how much money did they spend for a year and a half of glory before? Basically, it looks like the whole thing is going down in flames now.
It was an ill-conceived idea, and I'm glad to see it I'm glad to see it happening.
Well, it's
sports washing. I mean, it was.
I know. We've talked about it. You know, I'm not a huge fan of the sports washing, and I don't like, you know, I just and also when it screws up the game I like, golf, you know, nobody likes that. But bully for the Mets, you know, continue on as long as you want. It's fun to watch. Dad, our main story today is the NFL draft. It is set for this weekend, as we mentioned earlier. Over the last 10 years, Mississippi has produced 53 draft prospects that have been selected. That is more than New York, Arizona, or Tennessee. Punching far above the weight class, as always. But that said, I'm looking at the slate, and I've got them in front of them for the players from Ole Miss State and Southern Miss that are projected to be drafted this year. And it appears that, I mean, it's got the volume, but it doesn't have you don't have the big marquee names.
Yeah, and part of that, obviously, is because some of the best players, particularly at Ole Miss, the best team, have decided to stay in college and earn that NIL money before going pro.
Yeah.
If this Ole Miss team 10 years ago, there'd be a whole lot more people in the Ole Miss Rebels in the draft this year because they would
be chasing the money.
Now they're making plenty of money in Oxford.
Yeah. Well, they were making some money before the change, but now they can make it legally, it's just
you can make more as a fourth-year senior in college than you can make as a rookie in the NFL.
Well, Trinidad Chambliss as a 6-year quarterback is about to make a whole lot more than he would have in the NFL for sure.
Yeah, it's just it's where we are today.
Yep. And Lacey going to make a bunch of money too. But, you know, that's a subject for another day. The Rebels currently have 6 players listed in the top 325 or so, starting with Deshaun Stribling, who I am crazy about as a player. I love a wide receiver who catches the ball and then looks for someone to hit.
I wish the Saints could get him.
It would be nice. He's a physical receiver, fantastic player. And then we got a local guy, Xavier Harris, defensive tackle. I think he's rated as the 157th overall prospect in the draft by these quote-unquote experts.
He made himself a lot of money last season.
Yeah. Played fantastic down the stretch for him. And then the other big names are the tight end Daquan Wright, who was an effective pass catcher for the Rebels and a decent blocker. Wide receiver Harrison Wallace III, who I think is going to be a sleeper as a really good receiver, maybe a slot guy in the NFL. Cornerback Jalen Braxton, and then tight end Luke Haas. Weird to have them 2 tight ends in there from Ole Miss, but there's I don't know if Luke will get taken, but I think Jalen Braxton's a pretty good prospect. Switching over to Mississippi State, it's oddly enough to see 2 wide receivers on this list, but Brendan Thompson was a very productive receiver for State.
Really talented.
And then Aiden Williams is the other one who, if you would have told me 6 years ago that Aiden Williams would be ranked as the 351st player in the draft from Mississippi State, I would have been extremely confused.
I remember you telling me about him when
he had the ability to go get the ball, and it just, for whatever reason, it didn't work out for him as I thought it would. I mean, he still turned in a decent career, but just kind of got lost in the mix at wide receiver at Ole Miss because, as you recall,
they had so many.
I mean, really good players. I mean, going back to even like the Trey Harris and all that before this last year. But then, you know, goes to State and in an offense that wasn't very productive, for lack of a better word. And so he just didn't put up the numbers I thought he might at the college level. The other player from State is safety Isaac Smith, a really good player.
Terrific player.
From Itawamba AHS, who turned into a stalwart defender at Mississippi State. And I think he may not go high in the draft, but I bet you anything he'll work his way onto an NFL roster and probably into a starting lineup before too long.
Well, he was particularly the year before last. He was.
I mean, he led him in tackles. I mean, it was like,
if it hadn't been for him, some lopsided scores would have been way more lopsided. Let's put it that way. He's a terrific player. He's another one I'd love to see the Saints get.
Southern Miss has got one player listed in the top 300. That's Josh Moten, the corner. Who obviously transferred from Marshall, played 1 year in Hattiesburg. It's hard to notice corners. If they're doing their job well, you just they don't make. He didn't have any like huge plays. Had a couple of picks, I think, but
he's more of a cover guy. I think the knock on him would be that he needs to be more physical and tackle better.
Got to tackle at corner in the NFL.
Yeah,
and the guys you have to tackle are so much less tackleable. I can say that.
Especially when you're like he is, like Moten is. He don't weigh but 175, 180 pounds.
Yeah.
So.
I better be all muscle, buddy.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
That's tough. Dad, just looking at it from the Saints' perspective, they've got 8 total picks, including the 8th overall pick. The 42nd overall pick in the second round. They got 1 in the 3rd, the 73rd pick, 2 in round 4, and 2 in round 5. We have talked in this space before about what they need to address. So we won't go back into that. I mean, obviously it's like, pass rusher, need to get probably a safety or corner.
Could always use another offensive line.
Interior lineman. I saw the latest mock draft had them taking the safety Caleb Downs from Ohio State, formerly of Alabama, which would suit the hell out of me. Although I do think if they got a chance at a big time pass rusher, it'd be hard to pass up.
Yeah, it would be no shocker for them to take a player from Ohio State because they've done it a lot through the years, and it, for the most part, has served them well.
It has. One interesting bit of news I saw is that with the signing of quarterback Zach Wilson, I guess they've signed to be a backup, it kind of leaves Spencer Rattler as the odd man out, and there is some buzz that he could be trade bait on draft day.
Maybe they'll get another pick.
I mean, maybe so. I mean,
I'm guessing he would bring a middle round choice.
4th, 5th, maybe. I mean, he's a quarterback, which is a premium position, but I don't think you're going to get a 3rd round draft. If they're saying that last year Alvin Kamara was a 3rd round pick, I don't think Spencer Rattler is any better this year.
I'm thinking at best a 4th or 5th round.
Which would probably be worth it if you've got too many quarterbacks. I mean, Zach Wilson is not. He's never set the world on fire, but if anything happens to Tyler Shuck, it may be a loss anyway. So,
yeah.
You cool with moving Rattler?
Yeah, I'm fully in there. If you can get a 4th or 5th rounder, I'd do it.
Yeah, you got to shore up some of those other positions.
That's right.
All right. So that's our look at the draft. Anything else you got on there? I mean, what do you like about the draft? Do you even? I mean, I know you hated. You like going, but I mean, covering it sucks.
I did not like going to cover it, and I won't watch it. It's just not. I mean. What do you get from watching the draft that you don't get from reading about it 3 hours later?
Well, you don't get the fans booing their own team's picks. I mean, that's always fun.
You don't get the bro hugs from the commissioner.
Yeah, well, I don't care about the commissioner. I have enjoyed it's one of those things you have on in the background. and then it's like, oh, the Saints are picking in. So you watch like the pick before, then the Saints, then the pick after.
The most interesting one I ever covered was when I went to New York to cover the year that Eli.
I bet so.
That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, they've got a lot of backlash for how that went down, but it certainly worked out for Eli.
Yeah. I don't think he'd want a do-over on it for sure.
I don't think he wants to relive it either.
No.
I mean, no, it was hell there for a minute. And to be honest, I had never seen a player try to dictate where they were, going before. It was an odd thing.
It's the only chance you ever have in football.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
if you've got the leverage, and he had clearly had
until your contract year, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, most of these people have to go play for the crappy teams that draft them until they.
If you got the leverage, you use it.
Yeah, well, I bet Joe Burrow should have done it for sure.
Yeah.
Dad, let's move on to the Blitz and wrap this thing up. As promised earlier, we're going to talk about LSU baseball. They're the first subject on the Blitz. The Tigers are 23-18. On the surface, you'd think, well, they're 5 games above 500. But they have lost 6 straight SEC games. They're 6-12 in the league, and they just lost pitcher Cooper Moore for the season, one of their highly sought-after transfers from Kansas. Things are not going well.
No, it's a picture-perfect image of what you get in the portal. You can prosper or you can really mess up, and they have messed up. They made a lot of bad decisions.
I think Jay Johnson admitted that this week that there was they had, I think it was roster structure. They had made mistakes in roster structure.
That they're not going to make again.
That is well, of course not. Yeah. Got to get that in there. But that is not what you want to hear in mid-April from your coach.
Not in this era. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Any era.
Yeah, I don't know at this point if they're going to be able to. I mean, they could get hot, but I just don't see it right now, and it looks like. I mean, I don't know about a NCAA baseball tournament that does not involve the LSU Tigers, but they're gonna have to get to work quick if they're gonna make it.
It is leaning heavily in that direction right now,
and they are headed for a rough awakening in Starkville this weekend, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Dad, in other college baseball news of the weird, Lehigh baseball set a Division I record scoring 20 runs in the first inning of a 38-6 win over Coppin State last week. You ever heard of that?
In T-ball. I've heard of it in T-ball. I hadn't heard of it in.
Do they have a run rule in T-ball where you score 10 in one inning, it's over? Surely.
No, they don't even keep scoring.
That's
T-ball.
the best way.
Yeah.
They ended up winning the game 38-6. Before the first out, they had 8 Mountain Hawks reach base. 5 runs were scored, and the Eagles had already made a pitching change before the first out. The remaining 15 runs in the inning came across before the Coppin State had out number 2.
What was the final score?
38-6. Runs 4.
They missed an extra point.
Here we go. The runs 4 through 16 all scored on walks, hit by pitches, or wild pitches.
That sounds like 8-year-olds pitching for the first time.
And I cannot move on without giving credit to first baseman Owen Wallawander, who closed that out with a grand slam to give them a 20-0 lead headed to the bottom of the first.
If you're a starting
top
pitcher,
of the second.
If you're a starting pitcher, that's
is that what you're looking for?
That's what you're looking for. 20-0 cushion.
Right. Dad, in other news of the weird, a Bulgarian soccer team, Arda Kardzali. Ooh, that's about as good as it gets on the pronunciation there, buddy. They paused to hold a somber moment of mourning for former player Petko Gonchev before their match against Levski Sofia over the weekend. Both teams lined up at the center circle and bowed their heads in silence in his honor. About halfway through the game, the social media team for the club issued a statement apologizing to the family who if they found out that Gonchev was not dead. And it reminds me of like,
oops.
Yeah, right. Well, it reminds me of J school. Like the number one rule was you can't kill somebody in the paper.
Yeah.
Don't ever say somebody's dead unless they're dead.
Yeah.
You ever killed anybody in the paper?
No.
Never broke that record.
Never.
Or broke that streak.
I never. That one never happened.
Yeah. It's always awkward when you get a call from the person you wrote about who had died. That's good stuff. Speaking of people who did die, unfortunately, we lost Clyde Muse at age 96. Long time. I mean, you could talk more about him than I did. I know you wrote about him this week.
No, he was I think for 40-some years the president of Hines Community College and widely known in the Mississippi community. You know, we have the most extensive junior college system in the country, and he was nicknamed kind of the godfather of Mississippi junior colleges. Mm-hmm. He was a mover and shaker.
Yeah.
But little kids will appreciate him more for inventing T-ball.
We introduced T-ball in Mississippi in 1961 as a way for little kids to play the game.
To learn the skills before you have certain skills. I mean, before most kids can throw a strike or hit one.
Yeah.
You just put it on a tee for them.
Yeah. What did they do before that?
What did they do before that?
Yeah.
They had 18 to 17 games where everybody walked. Yeah, that's what they did.
I know you once threw a no-hitter.
In Hattiesburg, we had the morning league, which was for 7 and 8 year olds before you were eligible to go to play in the regular little league. Yeah, I pitched one day and we lost like 13-7, and my mother greeted me after the game and said, "Ricky, did you know you just threw your first no-hitter?"
You were supposed to walk 20 guys?
Oh, or 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Finally, Dad, AI company Just Like Me is developed a AI Jesus and they're offering, you can chat with it for $1.99 a minute or $45 for 45 minutes. If you could chat with virtual Jesus, what do you think you'd ask him?
How come you're charging for this?
That's a pretty good answer.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good answer. Maybe, and you could, that question could stand all time before and after AI Jesus, you know? But yeah, no, I don't know. How crazy are we going to get with this? Is it going to get to the point where they could create AI Muhammad Ali and you could chat with it? I mean,
Well, I mean, I'm hearing stories and reading stories about people falling in love with the chat box.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I'm glad I'm 73 years old.
Yeah, well, it's a new and interesting world out there. That's all I'll say.
Interesting is one way to put it.
That's about all the time we got, everybody. Thanks so much for listening in. Everybody have a good week out there. A reminder, in addition to listening to this podcast, wherever you get your Spotify, iTunes, whatever, you can also watch on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com, search Crooked Letter Sports. It's a Mississippi Today production. Everybody have a good week out there, and we'll talk to you next week.